Oh, hey, hi, I'm capt.Eddie Castellan. Welcome to the shop. Came in, set up, got on the safety gear, smock and stuff. I'm touching up the points on a couple of tools. Yeah, and just, that's all I need to do on a parting tool is lap out those sides, get that point where there's a sharp point on each corner. I don't want to touch the front and mess that up. But this is going to get really good, and I want to show you some other things. And you didn't catch me yet. But all you have to do now, you know the deal, you got to watch. I got my diamond stone out, and I'm just lapping off this a little bit. And it creates some spray spots on it, on the faces or sides. I don't want to depress them or move them more. Definitely, I don't want to angle it. I want to hold it dead flat on the stone and just lap it a little bit. And this is a pretty worn out diamond stone, but it works all right for this use. Now, if I want to get really good with it, I'll lick it and then move some solvents around. But when you do the licking thing, people get kind of grossed out. Have you caught it yet? I mean, there's a serious error. I'm getting ready to go to work in the shop, and there's a serious mistake here. Have you caught it yet? One of my guys that always hangs around, not always, but he's here pretty regular. He came in this morning and he said, "You get ready to turn?" "Yeah." He said, "I want to see you start because I caught you." I'm looking at him and said, "What do you caught me with?" And he says, "Right there. Look at that. That's bling." Well, he didn't catch me. That is bling. But that is one of those threaded inserts that comes in two parts to make the cover on a jar. We're going to do a little jar using this. But he didn't catch me because I don't wear my bling. Took all my jewelry off. You know, I'm like like one of those Ninth Ward pimps down here, you know, with all the diamonds and the gold and you know, all this. But I don't wear it when I'm in turning. Why? I don't need to prove to my wife that I love her. I don't have to convince her that I'm married. The other girls in the neighborhood don't want me anymore. And it's a very dangerous thing to do. I keep getting pictures of injuries. Thank you for sharing that with me. I have to delete them right away because it sticks in this brain that I got left. But you show me pictures of people who've gotten hurt while they were wearing their rings. Well, I was a construction superintendent for 40 years. And I had in my box, my construction superintendent box, which was a little box in my office that I kept with me, I had a ring cutter. And I got that ring cutter from a doctor after we had to cut the ring off a finger, cut the ring off a finger that had been torn, and we took it off. And I don't know if I shared this before, but that was not the problem of the day. The problem of the day happened a couple of days later when he came back and it's all taped up and bandaged, and he says, "You wouldn't believe, we went to Ramsey's and picked out a really nice wedding ring for me." I said, "You what? You're putting on another wedding ring?" And he said, "My wife says I gotta have one." You know, head examined is what your wife needs to have. Get rid of the jewelry, get rid of the watches and all that, and wear your safety gear. Enough of that. Let's talk about this for a minute. Oh, I get a lot of calls. Let me tell you what the call is about. I get folks that call me every day at eddiecastellan.com and the phone number 504-715-0512. I'm always here and I'm always answering the phone. I'm the one that answers that phone. That little chippy girl that I wanted to, you know, with the bikini and all, she didn't work out. Management had something to say about it. But here's the deal. I answer the phone. So if you got a problem or a question or a comment or something that went wrong in your order, you want something right on your order, you don't understand the website, you can't read spoken English, whatever it is, and you need to talk to me, fuss at me, curse me, or whatever, call the number. This week I've gotten a lot of calls about guys who are getting started, and they say, "Cap, I'm taking this carbide tool and I'm putting it into the wood and shavings are coming out, but man, am I getting a terrible, terrible finish." Yeah, you sure are. Yeah, well, Big Eye Productions sells probably as many carbide cutters as everybody else put together, and we enjoy it. But it's a tool in our quiver. It's not everything. I'm not going to give up my bow because I have the carbide tools. I'm not going to give up my carbon steel because I have carbide tools. I'm not going to give up my sharpened screwdriver because I have carbide tools. Yeah, I do have a sharpened screwdriver I do detail work with, and the little grooves for the wire burning and all that. Sometimes you don't see these tools, but I have them because I do believe that if you can make it and you can use it and it's yours and you're happy with it, you're great. But while we're doing a little thing today, I want to show you a little something about presenting the tool. And if I've done this before and you think it's redundant or whatever, it's okay. Guys still need to understand this. How you put that tool in there makes the cut. It ain't the tool. It's that monkey on the end of it, right here. All right, stick around. We're going to put some wood in the lathe. I'm suiting up here because I have to get some things put together and put off on the side. I'm going to a class with Mark Saleh this week. I still go to wood turning classes. Yes, you should too. But having a shield is a requirement. Now I got to say this, there's a lot of professional turners or teachers or whatever you want to call them out there, and you might catch them occasionally with the shield on, but then they'll say, for the benefit of the demonstration, we didn't wear the shield. It's hokum. It really is. I'm not going to use any of the bad words. I don't like these reality shows on the History Channel and other places where you can't listen to the guys talk about anything because the four-letter words keep falling out of their face and they got to bleep, 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 bleep. Well, bleep, 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 bleep about the shields, okay? They save your life. They do. Mine fits better because, see, I got a nice haircut. I bought, for the cost of what it went to Supercuts the other day, I bought a dog trimmer from Amazon.com. I like to go there to shop. To trim my little rat dog, my little fat dog. She's molting and needs her hair removed and all, and are cleaned up. But when I was looking at it, I said, hey, this thing will go pretty fine. It's brand new cutters. Hadn't put them on her yet. Zzz, cut all the hair back. I mean, hey, I'm happy with this. I'm happy. My hair doesn't make me. I make my hair. So, all right, I got a block of wood I'm going to turn up here. And this is something that one of the viewers sent me. I just got a whole box of pen blanks from a guy the other day. So guys are always sending me wood, or continually sending me wood. This is nice. This, you see the spalting we have going on here? Some spalting running through this block. Well, it's 3 by 4 by 4. I knocked the corners off on a bandsaw because this is easier to cut when you get started than hitting on 4 sides of something. So if you have a bandsaw or sawzall or whatever, you knock those corners down a little bit, you will get happier work. And this is all about happier work. There are no awards for first, second, or third place. And I know that because I've been in third place about 10 times. I've never gotten a thing for it. Bring up the revolving center. I marked this with one of these little square angle things I got back out of a catalog service, and I'm just going to spin a little bit softly. You see that I'm not really dug into the spur, the spur on this side, and I'm not on the center over here. And I have this thing cranked down about 200 RPMs. When I crank it up, it'd be ready. But now I put a little pressure on it, and that pushes it into my center. And now I'm between points, and I'm being held. I got something to tell you. During the demonstrations, I'll refer to the live center and the step center and things like that. And guys, I have a hard time understanding where you get that all from. So I am a great fan of the old fugitive TV show. Yeah. And at the end they had epilogue, and it kind of caught you up on things and where things were moving and all that. Well, we're going to start doing epilogues at the end of videos when I remember to put them in there to explain to you what these pieces are, where I get them from, and what they do, and where you can find them. Guy sent me a picture yesterday of a broken roughing gouge. This is the roughing gouge I use. This comes from D-Way Tools. And D-Way's just changed hands, but Dave's quality is still there. Somebody else runs the firm now. But Dave made this, and look, that's a heavy shaft. That's a half-inch shaft. That is where they break, right there. Why? It's the hinge action of the tool. You got pressure here, you have pressure here, here and here, and it's like this. Ugh! If I was a Superman or a superhero, I'd snap it. All right, and it'd break right here. So that's where your gouge is going to break, your roughing gouge. So be careful with that pressure and that forcing. Get a better cut. This is a cutting tool, not a gouging tool. It's called a roughing gouge, but it's a cutting tool. Okay, let's crank this puppy up. And, well, I got a shield up, and then we're going to cut this thing out. That's with a roughing gouge. As I'm shaping this up, I'm noticing, and I'm trying to get the camera right position so you can see it too. You see that little tear out right in there? That's punkiness in the wood. It's right here again too on the far side. There's some chatoyance here. You see the reflectivity of it. But I got a little punky wood over here. Now, two things. This is a little bit larger than that little 1-inch ring I showed you that we started out with, because that was just a tease, okay? I'm going to go back to the bin and look at other cutters we have. Let me roll this out a little bit. Now, I get these from R&M. And I'll put this in the epilogue so you know how to get a hold of it. Let's check the size of this one. There it is. And I've compared it to what I have up here. I'm only going to have about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So that one would be a little bit close. And that's probably 1 7/8 or something. So let's go to the next one. And I do have a calculator measuring device to get this down to 1.5 inch opening. And if we size the caliper down to this a little bit, and this would work really good if I'd taken that lazy step of digging out a piece of graph paper and drawing this on a piece of graph paper to show you, which I should have done, but I didn't. I took the easy, stupid way out. There we have it. That's the size here, and if I put this on this in this ring, I'm going to have enough room to clean this up a little bit, and that's what I'm talking about. Cleaning this up. So we're going to go with this ring, and I'm going to size this thing the way I'm 1/3, 2/3. So 1/3 is going to be the top, 2/3 be the bottom, and I'm going to do it all right here, right now. Put the tenon on it and everything else, and as big as it is, I can get a larger tenon, and then I can work back from that. Follow along. Just might get a little more confused than I think it is. You're generating these little wispies with a roughing gouge. That's what this is, a roughing gouge. And they normally come with high squared corners, but Ellie Avocera talked me into rolling these two cuts back because they would cut better, and they do. But I have got a baby butt smooth cut across here. I can see the chatoyance coming out in this piece, which means I was slicing it. Now I can move with this tool by laying it flat on it and gouging out. Watch. But the quality of this cut and this cut, really rough day, beautiful night. It's radically different in how you cut it to how it presents itself. To lay this out, I'm getting out my phi gauge. You see this? They're not that difficult to build. Build them out of good wood. This one's been floated out of the shop a couple of times. You see it's a little springy and probably needs a little fine tune-up. But it's close. And that's going to give me my 1/3, 2/3. I'm going to go to the set outside right here, and then I'm going to note that this one or this one, either one is going to give me my 1/3, 2/3. What would make me decide? Well, I'm going to look at the quality of the wood. I get a little more heavy spalting down here to a lighter spalting up here, so I'm thinking I'm going to make this the lid. I'm going to put a little chamfer on it so I can grab it. I'll leave this in the bottom. I'm going to put a little chamfer on it so I can grab it, and then we'll go from there. Plan it by the wing. Now I've cut little dovetails on the sides, and remember they must slope in so that my jaw grabs them. And I've taken a look at it, and I think I can work with what I have. I have to now. I have it. I'm going to put my cut in here. My first cut to part this off. While it's still spinning between centers, I'm going to use a parting tool. Now this is made by D-Way Tools. See, it's made right there, Dave. All right. Now this tool is really unique. Is that I have it embedded in a handle with epoxy. This ring is a piece of copper from the plumbing store. The epoxy was critical to make this part of this, make them all uniform. This one's a little thicker on the bottom than on the top, so it won't bind up as bad. It will bind up if it loads up. I'm not a great fan of parting off spindles. I could take a saw and cut it through, but in a minute I'm going to have it flipped around and be holding it in the tenon, which I don't have a problem cutting off at that point. I was holding this between the live center, that's it there, and over here was a step center, a small, I like this little 5/8 one. I don't need much more horsepower. We got some bigger ones in the shop. Don't need a lot of horsepower for this. But that held the piece, and the little barb is dug in. That's a spring-loaded center. I'd show you that with my finger, but last time I did that, I poked a hole in my finger. So I don't think I'll do that. You have to trust me on that. Now, two ways to hold this. I can hold it in this tenon, I'll hold it on this tenon. Well, I'm going to get started over here. I'm going to crank open my one-way revolving center, one-way stronghold chuck. I'm going to crank it out. Put that tenon in, and it's bearing on 2 points. It's bearing on this face right back here, this, and it's bearing on the opposite side of this, because I want to get the most bearing I can. I don't want this to be touching the bottom of the chuck, and I don't want to be in a square recess. I want it slightly dovetailed so I can get a good bite on it. I have a really good bite, and I believe my daddy's thing about tighten it. If there's 3 holes, tighten it with all 3 holes. It might be a bunch of wine, but hey, it's kept me all right for 70 years. Okay, now we are. Let's finish the part off. Let's talk about making this fitting work. It's heavy duty, you can see it. Now the inner ring screws into the outer ring. Alright, we've seen that before. That's the ring that'll go on the bottom. This is what will go in the top to create the top. Now, a couple of options here. I want to tighten this down. It will go dead flush right here, dead flush. So what I would think I want to do here is I want to put another little recess on the outside. I have to show you because I want a small tab that'll fit into this ring that I can adhesive it to. And I'm going to use an epoxy adhesive to set the ring on this piece. Got it? Got it. Let's chuck up and go. Shields up. I put my tenon on here. As you can see, the light's not that great, but you can see the tenon. That fits the inside of that barrel very closely. Now, this is ready to glue up. I'm not going to glue it right now because I need to hold it in place and hold it, keep it lined up. I'm going to glue it using the base to hold it later on when I glue the base one, and also with a wafer. I'll show you that. But I'll glue them both at the same time, and then I'll put them together and I'll turn them out. But this piece right now is ready to go to the hold pile, and it's going to sit back in a hold pile until we get there, and this is ready to go. That's the finished product. See it? Nice spalting, huh? Coming up good, and the punking wasn't that bad, but I think we have some work to do on it. Next, we put the base in. Same thing, holding it on the dovetails back here. It's running in. It runs very, very true. Look. This is where we roughed it in and shaped it right where it's held right now. The next step is to put this ring in. This ring will go right in here. I got some stuff to take off it later. That's all done by measurement because I'm holding it on a big piece right now. But there's room to work, and there's room to cross chuck, etc. We'll show you all this. But right now, I'm going to knock that center out a little bit, put the deep depression in for this to go. And that little depressions will be where the jewelry goes that I'm giving her. Oh, I didn't tell you about that, huh? Yep. So we're all on page 1. We did this little recess. See, I got a shoulder and a recess, and I got the bottom. This is sanded out now. And this will fit in there very snugly. Snugly? Yeah, snugly. Alright, and it's clean. No trash or anything else. And you should check that because a slightest burr sticking down in there will cause the glue not to be set square. And now you see, I got a little trash out of there. You don't want any of that trash in there. Get it out. Make sure it runs clean. Both locations. Use the airbrush for that. I whipped up my 2-part epoxy. Now I can't do this with super glue. I don't believe I can. If I could, I would tell you about it, but I don't think I can. But I do very well with this 2-part epoxy by Penn State Industries. I really, really like this product. It works well. It rolls well. It also lays up really nice. I like it. Use just a little bit. Now, I'm going to put the ring back in. Now, if you think enough glue was good, more would be better. It's not like beer at Mardi Gras. More doesn't make it better. Same thing with Mardi Gras. Okay, so that's the base. Here's my cut-right wax paper. I'll be putting a piece on here and on the other part. But between them, I'm going to insert a layer of masonite. Now, I don't have to put the lid on to do this. I can do this right now with this piece of masonite. Push it on there. It's going to bond up tomorrow. When I pull it away, it won't stick because of the wax paper. But I'm cheating a little bit. Pick up some time because I'm going to put this on out the way. I got to go work on some yard stuff. Yeah, I got to maintain the yard too, management's rules. So I'm going to put a little on here. And remember, a little is enough. Too much is never any good. And think about where it's bonding at and what it's bonding to. So you can't put it on and dump it in because it will not go there. So we put it on the bearing surfaces. Now, get rid of the cardboard, the 3x5 cards. Clean up any overage as I can. I'm bound it down in the inside very well nicely too. Now, when I bring these together, this is what's going to happen. This bearing is going to press against this piece of wax paper. This piece of wax paper is pressing against this piece of masonite. This piece of masonite is pressing against this piece of wax paper. You don't have wax paper, use little plastic bags. Then we're going to roll up our live center and put a little pressure on it. Not a lot of pressure. I don't want to press out any adhesive. I just want to bind it all together. Now this thing is running very true right now. The rings are true. True. I got 6 trues here. Alright, and which means this will set up. I'm using this 15-minute epoxy, mid-cure epoxy by PSI Industries. I like the product, but honestly, this should cure overnight. Now, in about an hour, I can pull this out the machine, set it off on the side, and let it just sit and cook on its own, and go do something else. But now, like I told you, I got to do yard work. Hey, I'd like to say, let's pick up where we left off at. We left off 3 days ago. I wanted to cut the lawn in the back before front came through. That damn tractor hurt me. I went around, caught a branch, pulled on my sleeve, went around. Don't need to get to it. I'm just sore hips. So I came back and I pulled this board. I backed off my tailstock, and I took the piece of plywood, the piece of masonite and the wax paper out, and now I've got the lid and the base. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, I screwed up. I was so worried about getting out and doing something, I forgot about the rules. And the rules were to plan your next move. And I didn't. So what I didn't do was line up this beautiful grain. I will not have this spot matching all the way through. Just going to be that way now. There's nothing I can do about it that I think is easy. I could dress this off a little bit and get a quarter turn on it and get, I think I'm going to live with the mistake. Sometimes we have to. Now I have this top ready, bottom ready, but the top's not really ready. Let me explain something to you. We put this in here using epoxy, and let's get in here. I wiped off some, but I've got a little epoxy resin. Whoop, there we are. I got a little epoxy resin right here. I want to clean this up. Fortunately, I still have the dovetail back here. So I'm going to pop this out, pop this in, clean this up, dress this off. See it right here? Yes, I can get it back in the camera. And clean all this up before I turn it over and dome it out. Gotcha? Gotcha. Stand by. We're going to have something happen in here. The beauty of having those recesses cut into it when I'm turning to pieces, it was that easy. All I did was pull the other one out, put this one in, go up to it, and because I've got the dovetail and not those little grooves in there, I can just go back and grab it anywhere on a 360 and get a pretty good bit of bearing on it. Now, watch the rotation. Very true, very true, very, very true. Which means I can work on this. I'm going to shield up and dress this off. Okay? You know I've been known to cheat sometimes. I said I'm going to scrape this off. Look at that. Oh, that's such a beautiful scraper. It'll. Oh, wait. That's my skew. Huh. All right, I'm going to go in. Look at the little curlicues coming up. Because I want to get way back in that corner, and I don't want to remove too much material, so I can use the point, get way back in that corner. And you get those little fine shavings coming off. See that one? Boy, that is some sweet. I'm cleaned up right now. I can say in this. Again, had the beauty of having the dovetails cut into the pieces, or a glue block could be glued on that would have a dovetail in it. I don't terminate anything as straight and square because I want to grab it. If you want to grab something, you got to get around the edge of it. So I have the little dovetails. I have 1,000 glue blocks. Exaggeration, probably maybe one. I got a bunch of them back there that's got this on it, and I can just glue it on with some medium thick CA or epoxy. But when I had this off, I sanded this off a little bit and cleaned it up a little. So I got a little closer to being what I like my finished product to be. Then we bring this up, and you can't see it, but I can. There is no joint here. There's no loppy-doggle curve or anything else. It's got a good fit on it because I had the chance to, using the jaws, to come back and dress this off on this side right here and this off on this side. See that? If I had a pencil available, I'd point it out to you. One side, the other side. Okay? I can only find my pencil. Now, I'm going to bring up my tailstock and stabilize this a little bit. But, you know I don't always read what you send me and talk to me about. We had a guy. Hold on. I've got to tell you about this. I'm back. I'm with you. We've returned from the break. Okay, all that. I always talk about using a soft touch. This is a soft touch. It's a piece of wood that I drilled a 3/4, 5/8 hole in, then took a 3/4 10 tap that matched the end of my one-way revolving center. And then I put my bar in it and I screwed on there, and it gives me a touch that I can push on something with. Then if my tool makes contact with it, I won't dull my tool. It'll just stop. It's a good move. Should have some. But a guy, and his name is Mark Hazelwood out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, sent me a thing the other day, and I thought he sent me a new replacement bumper for a Longworth. And I didn't read the note. Yes, Mark, you put a note there, and I didn't read it. They sent one that said, why don't you try getting one of these corks from the Ace Hardware store at the corner? And I did, and, well, he did. And then he went down and took his drill and drilled a small hole in it, like a 5/8 inch hole. And then he tapped it a little bit. You don't need a whole lot of tapping. Uh-oh. Must be the mailman. Oh my goodness, I thought it was an attack. It's just the mailman again. Okay, he took this cork that he bought at the Ace Hardware store in the corner, it's a cork, and he drilled it, and he tapped it with a 3/4 10 tap, and then he went over and slid it onto his one-way revolving center. And that gave him a soft touch. That'll spin, and if I make contact with it, I won't dull my tools. Thank you. Appreciate that great tip. You know, a lot of things we've developed here at Big Eye Productions, where we have cutters, templates, the sander bearings and all that, have came from you guys and gals, you wood turners, have sent me ideas and suggestions and told me how to improve what I do or show you, or, hey, would you try this? Sure, I will. And then if it works, I'll share it. If it doesn't work, I ain't going to say a word. All right? But this is a good idea. I put my regular life center back on there because it's wood, and that's the system. I save marks when I use it later. Then I'm going to bring my tailstock up a little bit and put a little bit of pressure on it, just a little bitty bit. And that's just to keep any vibration from happening. Just any vibration at all. Now, I'm going to drew this down a little bit, move the size of it, and then check it for the expanse. But you know what? A smart move would be to draw this thing out, work it out in advance. So I'm going to back up and check the measurement first. As I'm looking at this with my caliper, and I got to put this where you can see it, I would be about 1/8 of an inch off each side of this brass ring if I go to this dimension. So I'm going to add a little bit to it, just a little bit, because I want to have some playroom when I get there. And I'm going to be about 3/16 of an inch larger on both sides. All right, and that's what my target is, this ring right here. Let's talk a few quick lessons. Number one, I cut that little while ago and I didn't wear my shield. I should have, so you caught me. I just put a fresh edge on my 3/8 inch Ellsworth type gouge. If I'm getting that, I'm getting a cut. Okay, so you think that's a lot of meat to take away with a little gouge. Let's switch over and go to the bowl gouge. Just for a minute. I want you to notice I'm using roughing gouge, but look what I'm getting off. I'm getting little curlicues off. That's because I'm riding this bevel and controlling that edge. You don't have to plow it in there. Slices and slices good. I had to stop them to go to take care of phone calls. I answer the phone here at Big Eye Productions. You call, talk to me. If you got a problem, talk to me. You got a hint, talk to me. I can take care of it or give you some direction. That's what I do. This guys just now were talking about a one-way stronghold chuck for a small lathe. Yes, do it. Yes. The lathe will never ever know. Once it spins it, it will never know. It will just add to the force and mass of the thing spinning. And I've had one on mini jets. I've had one on a little 16, a little thing I got out of a Big Lot store one time when it was called Max somebody. But they're very worth the investment. If you can't do it one way because of the money, look for an Apprentice or a Barracuda from one of the two big, large woodcraft things. Mine comes directly from One Way CA, www. One Way CA. Make friends with those people. You're talking to part of family when you do that. Back to this project. I've cut it with a roughing gouge. I got a few little bumps and a few bruises. I had the tool stock clean, but I was a little bit rougher with it. But I'm going to shield back up again, raise the speed a little bit, and go ahead and true it up with this 3/8 inch. I backed my headstock up, got my soft touch away from it. Now I'm dealing with the lid and the frame. I've got it down to about the size of one on the sides. And I'm really amazed at how well this is sanding out or cutting out. It's cutting much nicer than I thought. I thought a little punky would be a problem. I'm going to put the sealer on it in a few moments. I'm going to hit it with sealer, and that's going to raise some grain. And some of these puffy spots will need resanding or recutting. But I have to make sure I get that depression I had in the middle from the center point. I have to get that out. If you leave it in there, it's going to puff up and be a mark later. So get it out. I have that out. I have the nice round on the top. I'm kind of happy with this. What What I'm going to do now is shield up, and I'm going to take it and do a little negative rake scraping. That's using the bottom of the cutter, the very bottom of the cutter, in a scraping position with the cutter closed, the tool closed, to do a scrape. Watch. The little wispies I generate, little bitty fine wispies I generate, are scraped off, and they're smoother and nicer. And because I had a little funkiness, I've scraped through some of that funkiness. Now I got to rub it and see if I feel anything that I need to scrape off before I do sand this. I got a little fuzz on the top, up in the top corner, shield up, go to get it. Roll the tool closed. When it did that with speed raised a little bit, I got the little bitty fine wispies off, but that gave me a pretty good clean cut. It was a scrape, but now I feel good about this. I can splash some seal, sand a little bit, splash some seal on, and get ready to check bottom depth, cut. Oh, we got things to do. Stick around. Okay, I sanded to 320, and then I rubbed in 2 coats of my 50/50 deft sealer. That's deft lacquer sanding, DEFT deft lacquer sanding sealer. I'll cover that when I do the epilogue. And I have it cut with thinner, and then I'll put that on. I'll put 2 coats on it, and now I have it. And I really like this. Now I see some marks in it that are going to puff back up a little bit, and I can sand them out because that's that difference in the grains and compression. When I was making a compression cut, I got a little compression right there. So I had that. How am I going to get that done? After the seal cures a little bit, it takes about 15 minutes, I'm going to go back with my negative rake scraper or my 3/8 inch gallows rolled up on the side to do a shear scrape and scrape it again, because I feel that little rise. I run my finger right there, I feel a little bit of rise, and that's that puffiness. And it came up after I put the sealer on. We're going to take care of that. I'm going to show you, see, because I knew anything but move wood. I went back in with my negative rake scraper and negative rake scraped this coming back. I put a fresh edge on it. Took it over to the grinder. I crowned it off the top. Then I flipped it over. Yes, I do that. And I put that little 15 degree on it, or whatever whatever the grinder set to. And I took that little shoulder and I reground that edge. And that gave me a new burr to work with. I want the burr to work with. Then I came back and presented it on an angle and did some light scrapes. And I removed that ring, those rings on the outside corner. And I did it more than compressing with sandpaper. I resanded it again with 2 grits, or 3 grits, got it back up to 320, splashed a little sealer on it, and I'm quite happy with it now. It's time to move the cover. I'm going to stand on my soapbox again to tell you that if I allowed those marks to remain on that, and thought, well, that'll come out later, it would not come out later. It would just be there. An accident, you'd always know it's there. So don't live with those marks. Get them out, rub them out, take them off. I got a little high spot right there, but that's in the finish, and the finish built up. But I can buff that off a little bit with a little Scotch-Brite pad. Scotch-Brite, Scotch-Brite. I have them in my pocket somewhere. Oh well, wrong suit. But we're going to buff that off and get rid of that little spot. Now I've got the thing ready to go. I need to put some more additional finish on this lid, but I can do that by hand off the chuck. This has been cut the right way. See, I got a little about a 1/4 inch here. Then I got a little depth to it, and I'm kind of happy with this. I want to put a little finish on this. And while I'm turning, I always use this deft lacquer sanding sealer. Don't call me and ask me, do I like any other brand? My answer is, if it's a lacquer sanding sealer, we can talk. If it's not a lacquer sanding sealer, nope, we can't talk. I'm kind of stuck in my ways on that. Put a little sealer on it, Means the color became more uniform. All the spackling stands out. I really like this. Let's get a depth and put a mark on it. The inside depth runs to be about 1 inch exactly. That's on my X46. Okay, I'm gonna mark it up here and say, okay, for my reference, that is the inside. I can't be any shallower than that, or I have a little ring. So I want to put about a 1/4 inch below it. So I'm going to go in here and mark about a 1/4 inch. So that's going to be the maximum or the minimum I can cut. I don't want to go any less than that. So I'm going to remove a little shoulder, just a little bit, because I still need to be holding this, and I need that shoulder as part of it. And then I'm going to take my parting tool and slice this off, because I am ready. Show you what I'm talking about. That's the dovetail we already started on, or it could be on a glue block. But in order to hold, I have to have 2 shoulders. I have to have this shoulder here, that's where the jaws compress, and this is reactionary shoulder on this side. I need that reactionary shoulder because this is grabbing it like a baseball, holding it. So I left a little bit of that shoulder, all right, and that's the line of where I'm going to cut it at. But I can now go in my parting tool and cut right about here, and part it clean off, clean it up, get it out of there. Got it? Got it. Boy, that thing is coming up nice, huh? Oh, yeah, I like that. Oh, if I'll flip it around, I might clean up that inside a little bit. Yeah. Now, that broke. See where it broke at? Because I was in that punky wood. But I'm all right. I can live with that. I can work with it. Now, let me talk about this for a second. I use this parting tool. This comes from David D-Way Tools. But that edge is not parallel. There's numbers on this website about how thick this is and how thin this is. But you can see just now. There you go. There's the light. You can see it tapers. Why? Because I'm cutting with this corner, not this one. And I don't want this one to rub while I'm cutting with this one. You got that? Because this rubbing while this is cutting is creating heat. This heat will cause a change in your wood. I talked to a guy the other day from Texas doing something rather unique, and he said, getting some movement. And we talked it through. I think that's where he had it at. He had a little thin parting tool like the one I make out of a Sawzall blade, which is straight and flat. Worked nice. This would work better. And I only, to sharpen this tool, I never touch these edges. This one or this one. I touch this edge. Flat on my stone. Flat on my stone to improve that little corner right there. That's where the cutting happens. Not here, not here, not here. Right there on that corner. So I can test that up. But that was a good cut. You probably wonder if I ever throw anything away. If you remember a thing we did with the ring, we had a block of epoxy glue on here, and we turned the ring out of it, and then we took it over to another part, another shop-made mandrel, and held it and shaped it. Well, I kept this block. Why? Because I could use it for something. Sure, what? This. Watch what happens now. Oops, got to find a caliper. Got to check a dimension. Then we know where we're going. Goodness gracious, planning our work. We're not wood turners, are we? Took my waste block that I used to do the pens. I turned a tenon on it, okay? Then I put the piece on, and I used my little shop-made thumper. Oh wait, that's a handle. Well, it worked just as well, did that. And I thumped it on there. Now I've got it to where I can work with it. I'm going to bring my tool rest around while lathe is stopped. I don't want to be moving the tool rest while we're running. And because I want to touch this center to this. And I'm sure I need 1 inch here, and I'm going to have, see if I can get this right. I'm going to have 3/8 of an inch left over because I'm 1 3/8 right now, or a little bit heavy. So I can get rid of this bump and make my little cup and straighten this, and then I can straighten up the side, get a little bit, I got a little wavy right here, but I'm going to scrape it off and get that ready. You set? Let's go. Well, shields up. As I was making that cut, using a little bit of a fingernail grind on a fingernail gouge, I rolled back out, read the bevel, turned it a little bit to turn on the cutter, and then slid forward, slid back, slid forward, slid back, slid forward. No heavy gouging because I didn't want to tear it up. I want to slice it off. Now I'm really happy with that. I'll clean up this corner and we'll be done. Oh, for sealing. Okay, I'll sand it to 320, and I'll put a coat of sealer on it. Then I'm buffing it with the Scotch-Brite, the yellow one. Not as coarse as the tan one, and not as fine as the white one, but kind of in the middle, you know. Then I buffed off any high spots. This is smooth as a baby's butt. I'm the butt checker. All right. Then I'm going to put on slab on another coat of sealer, and you see how it's going to build up a little bit. The alcohol is going away and the sealer rolls right in when it's on a lathe. That's why I break it 50-50. Roll in a good coat. Then I'm going to take a hard look at it. The hard look is it ready for a finish? I still got some highs and lows, but that's probably in the sealer. And I could but the see the Chateaubriand's coming in. Oh yeah, it's got some pretty pictures to it, and it's not as punky as I thought it was. I think we can live with this. I want to get started on this again, but I got to cover up the dome. Winter came back for about 3 days. I live in New Orleans. No, New Orleans is over there where they shoot people and run them over and all that. That's New Orleans. I live over here in Jefferson. But Mardi Gras was yesterday, and they had an absolutely gorgeous day. But it was cold, which really means that all those girls wearing all those tight-ass jeans, those snug slacks, they probably needed something else to keep them warm. A little bit of, but it was a beautiful day. We get another great day today. Tomorrow I'm going to go to class with Mark Soleil. Looking forward to that. But we turned a nice little project. We really did. You can see, I give you some detail on it. It's got a screw-on lid. Now, I asked management about the screw-on lid, and she says, if you're going to fill that with diamonds, I want it to screw on nice and tight. Okay, so I didn't step in it that bad where I needed diamonds, but I stepped in it bad enough to where I lost the spalting. It doesn't continue top to bottom because I didn't line it up when I glued that ring on. My mistake, not yours. But just look how it fits. And I like the way this screws in. And in the epilogue, I'm going to explain to you some of the pieces, parts, and suppliers that you can get all this at if you want to do one. And this is out of a block of wood one of you guys sent me, or gals sent me. So I think I like it. I'm going to let this sealer cure on it, buff it out, rub in a couple of coats. Still got that deadhead on my lathe. So once the cure, the sealer sets up, I can snap it back on that and go back to putting the finish on it again. This is nice. It's a simple little project. Use your shop scraps and some mechanical parts. If you want to know more, all you got to do is get out in your shop and start making shavings. That's it. Make some shavings. I'm capt.Eddie Castle, and there's an epilogue coming up, just like you asked. Wish I'd done that green. When I used to watch The Fugitive on television at night, the end of the show would come up with an epilogue. And I asked my mother one night, I said, what does that mean? And she pointed at the dictionary and told me, look it up. Oh, well, so we looked it up. And that's what this is, an epilogue. This is going to cover what happened a little while ago. We start off with a block of wood. We put a dovetail on both sides. We used a skew, my skew, to cut the dovetail on the two ends to make it grab by the chuck. Now, if the block isn't big enough and you can't cut those in without wasting the wood you want to use, you can always glue on a waste block for a glue block and put the dovetail in the glue block. All right, you got it? So you can just add pieces on. If wood's that valuable and that important to you, that's what you got to do. All right? Then we chucked it up in our one-way stronghold chuck with profile jaws. That's how we held it. Held it on both ends, and then we machined it to put in a ring, and this is a larger version of it. This is the ring. This came from R&M. Now, their contact is right at the end of this, or on this, so you can email him or go to his website and get it. He makes these in several sizes, and they work out really good if you want to do an urn or a seal-tight container or something like that. Okay, we did that. We cut it with a roughing gouge made by D-Way Tools. Okay, we used a scraper by D-Way Tools. We used a parting tool by D-Way Tools. It's just because I try to get the better ones I can get. Then we put a coat of sealer on it. The sealer was Deft lacquer sanding sealer, 50-50 cut, which is half of the sealer and half of the lacquer thinner together in a squeeze bottle. Where is it? I get these at Harbor Freight. Get a pack of 3 or 6, whatever, and it's got the ounces and all that stuff. But hey, once you got them, or if you can't get them, you can use the mustard squeeze bottle. Just take the mustard out first. All right. Then we use that. I'm looking across the thing. We used a caliper, a regular caliper, stick rule. Sandpaper came from Vince's Wooden Wonders. Vince Welch at Vince's Wooden Wonders. Email. And looking through, use the Scotch Brite pad from Vince. We're going to be finishing it with Star Bond CA. And my Star Bond comes from Star Bond itself. You can look it up on the website. They're out in California. Really nice family-operated business. I like family-operated businesses. I really do. So, and that's why you're talking to Vince and D-Way and all the other folks that talk to you about it. So I'm looking through my stack of stuff here, and I think I got it covered. If not, there'll be a couple of blips on the screen to let you know. And if anything is of question, all you got to do is give me a call. I'm here. I'm Capt.Eddie. Take care. Be good.